Mr. Arun Mohan.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good evening. Let us start.
Yes. Good evening. Sir, am I clear, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening to all the exuberant educators. I welcome you all to the 142nd web training series of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Now I take it as a pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Miss Sarita Warrior. She has completed her post-graduation in economics from a prestigious Ferguson College, Pune. She has done her B.Ed in English and economics. Presently, she's working as a high school teacher at Nalanda Public School, Mumbai for the past 14 years, where she teaches English, economics, and financial markets management. She is an avid reader, an amateur poet, and scriptwriter who trains students for inter-school competitions. And I have to add one more thing, she is a good human being. She strongly believes that education is not merely a profession, but a true vocation that entails continuous hard work towards achieving excellence in one's students. She has rendered her service to CBSE Bharat Sahodaya as moderator in numerous sessions. She is associated with BTAG as the chief editor of the Transformers E magazine. So I cordially invite you to take over this grand session, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arun Mohan. That was a very nice introduction. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Ma'am, you are.
Good evening to one and all present here this evening. On behalf of Team Bharat Sahodaya, I welcome all participants to our 142nd web training session. At the outset, let me wish all of you a very happy Makar Sankranti and thank you for joining us despite the fact that it is a festival day today. Our topic for today is neuroscience-based inclusive and integrated educational ecosystem for schools. Educational neuroscience is an interdisciplinary research field that seeks to translate research findings on neural mechanisms of learning to educational practice and policy, and to understand the effects of education on the brain. In addition to helping teachers understand how students learn best, neuroscience can help them manage student behavior. Often, the reason students behave poorly is due to stress and the anxiety that gets triggered because of the stress. Neuroscientists have studied how stress affects the brain, and their findings can help teachers to understand students' behavior better and take the necessary steps to guide them. To throw more light on this topic and to lead us through the ways and means we can use neuroscience as part of our education to benefit students, we have with us a very renowned resource person, Mr. Saiju Aravind, an expert in this branch of education, who has very kindly agreed to conduct the session for us. At this juncture, I would like to share with all our participants today that Mr. Saiju Aravind had conducted an exceptional session during the two-day International Educators Conclave that we had in Trivandrum on December 27th and 28th. The stupendous success of that session and the feedback we received after the session has prompted us to hold this one for the benefit of our online participants. Moving on to the proceedings for this evening, I would like to welcome Dr. Abdul Salam, our program director. Dr. Abdul Salam is the General Secretary of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya and the principal of the prestigious Oxford School, Trivandrum. An educationist whose career has spanned over 23 years, he is also a trained HR professional. He has won numerous awards for his contribution towards education, including the Instructional Leader 2020 and Education Icon by the International Chamber of Service Industries. Dr. Salam is also a CBSE Master Trainer and CBSE Deputy Training Coordinator for the Trivandrum region. Sir, I would like to request you to kindly deliver the welcome speech.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Sarita, Mr. Arun Mohan. Good evening, Dr. Saiju Aravind, Mr. Shibu, Dr. Jayanti, Mr. Biju, and all my colleagues and all enthusiastic leaders, educators. In fact, very glad to see you all once again in the online platform. We were fortunate enough to see many of you physically in person at the 2 days conclave. And because of your support and cooperation, your involvement, your participation, the conclave was a big success. And the next season 2, the work already has started. And we expect it to be a very greater event next time. I can see many of the faces who have attended the conclave. Still, they are online because they want to listen to Dr. Saiju Aravind once again. The topic was so fascinating to me. In fact, I included this topic in 2 of the panel discussions, and later on, Mr. Saiju Aravind was introduced to me by Mr. Shibu, the president. And going through the profile, I was overwhelmed with much, happiness to have a scientist, a senior scientist, as a subject expert to tell us about the neuroscience, which is influencing the modern education. In fact, it's a very powerful, tool for teachers, for institutions to learn about their pupils, the students, and by using data science. Mr. Saiju Aravind is here with his team of EduBrisk, through which they are doing a wonderful job to many schools in India and abroad. Right now, I believe Mr. Saiju Aravind is in Dubai. All right.
That is true.
We are very fortunate to have you on board and meet you for the second time. We would like to continue this association for longer, which will benefit definitely a lot for the student and teacher community as well. So I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Shibu for introducing Mr. Saiju Aravind to me, and everyone for your cooperation. Have a wonderful evening with the Saiju Aravind, sir. Thank you so much. Hearty welcome once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I would now like to introduce our participants to Mr. Shibu S. Mr. Shibu is the founder chairman of Paradise Public School, Varkala. He is the vice president of Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya Complexes and the honorable president of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Shibu sir, may I request you to please address our participants for today?
Thank you, Sarita Vaidya. Good evening to all. Respected General Secretary, Dr. Abdul Salam sir, our greatest handsome scientist, Mr. Saiju Aravind, my younger brother and treasurer, Bharat Sahodaya Biju S. Pillai, our patron, Jayanti, Mrs. Sarita Vaidya, Arun Mohan, and my dear educators. In our Bharat Sahodaya, so many resource persons as well as educators we are having. But at present, one more person is also along with us. It is none other than a scientist. It is Saiju Aravind, sir. He is now become the one of the family member of Bharat Sahodaya. This is the first webinar after the International Educators Conclave. Really, I am in the hangover of International Educators Conclave. It was a mega hit. It will be a great loss for those who haven't attended it. Every sessions and panel discussions was better than one another. Lot of greetings and congratulations we have received from different parts of the world. One comment is that he has attended 37 conferences. In that, he is saying that this is the one of the best conference he is having. So, lot of invitations also we have got from different side. One also I am going to mention here. That is, we have got an invitation from Sivanadar University, Chennai, that we have to conduct the next conclave at Chennai. They are ready to offer a hall of capacity 1,500, as well as offer the conclave kit for all the educators, those who are attending. This is really a recognition for us. One of the best sessions in conclave was Neuroscience in Education. It was done by our great scientist, Mr. Saiju Aravind. most of the educators told that they have lost much of the time in this session because of briefing our program. Moreover, he is the only person who deeply gone into this matter in India. So we decided to start the webinar with series with the topic Neuroscience in Education by Mr. Saiju Aravind. Everything is made possible by you all. I mean, all the educators, because of the wholehearted support and encouragement which you are continuously giving to Bharat Sahodaya and BTAC on its way to excellence. Thank you all. Thank you. Over to Sarida.
Thank you, Shibu sir. At this juncture, I would like to welcome Jayanti ma'am. Jayanti ma'am, welcome to this session. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege for me to welcome our resource person for today's session, Mr. Saiju Aravind. Mr. Saiju is a postgraduate from the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. He worked as a senior scientist at the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, Government of India, after serving as commander in the Indian Navy. He is currently a member of the Institute of Defense Scientists and Technologists, IDST. A winner of several international and national awards, Mr. Saiju Aravind is the founder and chief mentor of EduBrisk Knowledge Solutions, which is an AI/ML-based digital learning process-oriented platform. As an academician, Mr. Saiju has taught hydrodynamics and related subjects to BTech and MTech students. He has also guided several MTech theses in the field of naval architecture and hydrodynamics. As an educationist, Mr. Saiju has been an invited speaker at the National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, and the keynote speaker for the 31st CBSE Principals Conference and many other international educational conventions. He is currently working on a mission to empower 1 million underprivileged students with state-of-the-art technology and through accelerated teaching learning ecosystems. Sir, it's wonderful to be able to connect with you online so soon after we met a couple of weeks ago, and thank you for giving us your valuable time despite a busy schedule. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good evening to all the webinar attendees. My respects and to all the office bearers of Bharat Sahodaya, my moderator, Ms. Sarita first, and the program director, Dr. Abdul Salam, Shibu sir, Mr. Shibu, who has taken a very personal interest in, he was very keen on this program and the follow-up programs. Mr. Arun, who I remember the statement which you told when we met there, when we were about to leave. Thank you, Mr. Arun, for all the enthusiasm and the overwhelming response that we have been getting on this topic. It's very, very heartening. Maybe when I present this topic and at the end of it, I can say why it is so heartening to see this enthusiasm, because it's not about just getting some mark or improving performance, but it's also about bringing back the joy of learning, reinventing the joy of learning, and bringing back the lost confidence in children, and the innate desire in them to learn, to rekindle it. It's a festival time for teachers. It's the best time in the world to become a teacher. And I'm so glad that I could change my profession to a teacher, like all of you here at this point. Thank you once again. So before so shall I share the screen? Sarita ma'am, can I share the screen?
Yes, please, sir. Yes, please. Thank you.
Right. So I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yeah. So this is the topic. Our topic for the day is neuroscience in education. And as Dr. Abdul Salam said and Dr. Shibu sir said, this is a continuation of what we had. It feels great to be invited again to talk, because it's always good to, it's nice to create an impression, but the real thing is to create to have a relationship which lasts long. and there is progress with development in all the people who are in it. So once again, it's so nice to talk about this topic again. And just for the benefit of those who had not attended the last session, maybe I can summarize it as we are going through in 2 or 3 minutes what we discussed. It will automatically come, and then we can take it further from there. So it is role of neuroscience in education. Before I start, let me wish you all the one festival with many names. Today is Makar Sankranti and Magrevilakku or Pongal and Poshya Sankranti. It's all a celebration. I have a picture of in a school which some of my well-wishers sent. It's a nice, and it's all about. So when many years back, when I was trying to see what exactly is the problem with the students, fundamentally what is it, what exactly is the problem, and neuroscience gives an answer to it. It's about a celebration. There should be a sense of celebration when we study history, geography, political science, polynomials, cell biology, and arithmetic progression. There should be a sense of joy, a sense of celebration of knowledge, and the emotional connect with the learning. So how can we bring that emotional connect back, and how do we use neuroscience as a tool to leverage that emotional connect and celebration of knowledge? So it's more than a coincidence that we are talking about celebrating knowledge on this auspicious day. So before I start this is something which, so I have a quiz to most of you. Here I'm showing a scene from a movie. And can you guess what is the scene what is the scene in this movie now? Sarita ma'am, can you tell me whether you can see my screen properly? Or
Yes, sir. We can see your screen properly.
Is my chat window obstructing the view?
Not really, sir. The screen is pretty clear, but if you could just check on the left-hand side, it seems to have covered it. Could you please check that?
Yeah, that's okay. I've intentionally covered it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So my question to you is, the first question is, which is this movie? It's there are two movies, but they are the one and the same. They are like remake of one movie, and it's two movie. One has got Mohanlal, other has got Akshay Kumar, and one has Shobhana, other has Vidya Balan. Oh, I'm
Saiju sir,
yes.
your participants will be answering it on the chat box. So they have
Right,
been muted.
I can see that. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
There's Bhul Bhulaiya and Manichitratar. Okay, thank you very much. So both of you got, I mean, almost all of you got the answer. But now the next question is, what is the scene about? What is this particular scene? So this one of you will have to unmute and speak. You can type the answer, but at least one of you please raise your hand. And what is this particular scene about? I'll just give a clue, or if you want a clue, or maybe I'll wait and the multiple person. No, but this particular scene is Mohanlal grabbing Shobhana and pushing her towards her husband, in this Suresh Gopi, or Akshay Kumar is pushing the protagonist, Vidya Balan, towards her husband in the movie. So what is the significance of that scene?
If participants would like to raise your hand, I would unmute them. Is there anyone who would like to answer this question?
Somebody said, okay. Miss Ashwati Prabhul Nair has answered, and Mr. Joshi TY has answered. She has recovered from a psychiatric problem. That's right. But this is a very touching scene in which he pushes her forcefully towards the husband. The psychiatrist pushes forcefully towards the husband and says a sentence. a very, very, very emotional sentence. And what is that sentence? Gifty. Oh, yes. Oh, oh yes. Miss Hena Babu has given the answer. Can you unmute and say?
Miss Henna Babu, just a minute. I'll just try to unmute
There
her.
are 241 participants.
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah, that's a big number. Can you just tell
Miss Henna, I think you are unmuted. Could you please say this
Yeah,
answer?
yeah.
Yeah, please. You unmute yourself. No,
Yes,
no.
yes.
It doctor, after treating her and exercising the whatever ghosting her, he is gifting the original personality back to husband. Inna edutho.
Wow, that's nice. And he says origin. I could. Okay, then the third question here. What are the two states in which he could have returned back to her husband? He says, I could have returned in two ways. What are the two states in which?
Yeah, then it would have been an anguish in his face, telling impossible. Or this is the
He
other way
says,
around.
this is the original wife, but
He's
I could have.
victorious. He's triumphant. He's triumphant in his efforts.
Nice. Or also, he says a very interesting thing. He said, I wanted to give you back your original wife, not a person who would be under medication, who's forgotten her real identity, or, who's drugged, or who's, given some chronic psychiatric treatments and, tablets and things like that. Oh, that's another.
That's a wonderful answer here. A body without a soul. He didn't want to give him a body without a soul. That's one of our participants has understood.
Who answered that, ma'am?
One Miss Geeta.
Can you,
if I'm not wrong.
Can you come on video? Because I have a next question to ask her.
One Miss Geetu G. She has answered that he didn't want to give him a wife who has only a body without a soul.
Wow,
Geetu,
wow. That's a
Geetu,
super
if you could, Geetu ma'am, you are unmuted. If you would like to speak.
Yeah, I'm here.
So, ma'am, in that case, please answer the last two questions. Why did the psychiatrist choose the harder path? Or in your opinion, what is the risk involved by choosing the method that the psychiatrist chose?
It's not, but he went through that way to give his friend a wife who was as energetic as in the past.
All right. So, yeah, so we'll come to that. But before that, there's some interesting. Though this year CBQ has introduced competency-based question with 40% weightage. So we should have a competency-based question. And with assertion and reasoning, which is the one which is coming, that's the one which you might find difficult to answer. But the whole thing is, just a little to make this discussion lighter, we have the Bloom's taxonomy of questions here, which go higher up in order from the name of the movie to application and evaluation and analysis. But that's not the topic here. The topic is, I had faced with a similar situation in my life. That is a few years back, which I mentioned in this is just a small recap for those who couldn't attend that. I was from scientist to an educationist. I moved because of one adversity that I faced in my life. This is my son who had kind of failed in his 11th, just scraped through in 10th and 11th. So I'm just playing a small clip, 30-second clip, which he mentions about a word. And the word is congenital. So I'm playing it. Hope, 1 minute. Sarita ma'am, can you see the screen?
I can see the screen, sir.
I'm Krishna Das. I'm Edubrisk. So my journey with Edubrisk began in 2014, somewhere around January, February. That was a few months before my board exams. When I found that studying was extremely hard for me, I found life as such very difficult for me to handle. And this was due to a huge backlog of problems, which I'll elaborate on during this talk. A month before my pre-board exams, when I realized that I had not had the interest to study, which was caused due to repeated failure. I had a desire to do well, but I didn't know where to start with and how to approach how to do well. I thought that I was genuinely unintelligent. This was congenially unintelligent, and that I was meant to underperform, to be an underperformer throughout my life.
Yeah, so sorry to show that clip. It's a very personal clip. My discussions are always very personal. I have nothing. I mean, I can't talk without bringing in persons and personalities into it, and the stories into it. So there's a word which he used, that is, the children tend to think that some of them congenitally, I am born not so intelligent. I am not as good as the front person who is sitting in the front row. I am not as intelligent, as good as Puneet, who is sitting on the left, who is got 98%. I'm not as good intelligent as Joshua, who's sitting on my side, who studies just for 1 hour and he gets 95%. So these are thought process that haunts, that has, kind of anesthetizes children, their innate desire and tendency to learn. These are things which anguishes them, or, how do we use the principles of neuroscience to actually help these children to show that actually everyone can learn beautifully and everyone can actually enjoy or celebrate knowledge. So that is in essence, that is the topic that which we are.
I am Krishna Das. I am one of the
Right. So we left it at here last time when we discussed, that is, normally when we say performance, it is input plus potential minus losses. The performance of a child in a board exam, 10th, good teaching, good content, good ambience, good effort, notebooks, textbooks, augmented learning, all these are input. And we say, don't waste your time in WhatsApp, Instagram, this, that, these are all, this is where we control the losses. So the entire focus is on either input or in losses. But we seldom put any effort on this potential part because we think it is congenital. It is born, you're born with certain level of intelligence. But this is the myth. This is the number one myth that neuroscience is addressing. Although there could be brackets, there could be limitations, which we'll discuss on another day. But most of the learning difficulties could not be because of congenital intelligence issue. When I say most of the learning difficulties, I am not talking about learning disabilities. I'm talking largely about difficulties in low achievers or middle achievers, the learning difficulties, or even sometimes somebody is achieving high, but they have learning difficulties because there's associated long time of effort to remember something in biology, to get the concept of math, grasping, retaining, integrating, and personalizing information. So this is the part. Neuroscience addresses exactly this part, the potential part. Can we rewire the way we think? Can we relearn the process of grasping an information, retaining it long enough, integrating it with many other information, and crunch the data to a small, like very easy to retain large amount of information, grasping, retaining, integrating, and personalizing it, finally able to reproduce and use, or apply, or evaluate and create. So this is the part which we are going to talk about. So here we can have two kinds of, 1 minute. Yeah, there is one is curriculum based learning, other is neuroscience based learning. All these days, like they are compartmentalized. Schools do the curriculum based learning, many of the schools, and people like Joshua Foyer and Benedict Carey and a lot of other people, people who are into logic and development, memory development, learning skill development, all of them focus on the neuroscience-based learning. So curriculum-based learning, as you can see on the left side here, it is more about learning of content, because there is scoring in exam, like board exam is coming in the end of February. Then, we want the grade 10 children to study polynomial or quadratic equation, nationalism, rise of nationalism, rise of in Europe. We want them to learn about agriculture. We want to learn them to learn about the circulatory system and a lot of topics. These are content based and score in an exam. And these are largely short-term goals, like getting an admission or getting into good grade in a good 11th and 12th, admission in 11th and 12th in the desired group, etc. Here, the whole idea is content is important and finish line is important. Just like it's like, it's like swimming from this to this. And, this to this. And then you jump into so this is the line where, 10th or 12th, and you are getting into the higher grades. But neuroscience-based learning is more about overcoming limitations which are considered congenital. That's one thing, like memory, improving their memory. I'll come to it in great details. Reducing, how can the same thing, like say acid, bases, and salt, or carbon and its elements. These are topics to be studied. How can I learn it, or how can I comprehend it without having the burden of comprehension, living with the burden of non-comprehension? The other part is the human brain. This is a brain which we have. We want to develop that brain, because it's not just about using the brain to finish 10th or 12th or engineering or medicine or accountancy or humanities, or no. It's about lifelong learning. That means I want to improve my brain, because I should come to a point that I am able to learn. I have learned to learn anything, practically anything. So, I have had friends, like I was thinking, one of my friends, Prashant Floria, maybe he's in the US. He's the CEO of Fundbox or so. Was one of the toppers in IIT. And he went after our IIT course. Later on, around 10 years later, I came to know that he's a professor in Stanford or something. Stanford right now, he's one of the, and his master's was in economics, and then in a PhD in finance. He's a technocrat. So, but the whole process of learning, the whole process of competition, the whole process of grinding has helped him to learn practically anything. Can we bring that element? Can we create that in our children not by a grinding process, but more by a scientific process where we teach them the neuroscience of learning? And here, what is important is the process. That now he does, okay, I've learned the process of learning chance math, calculus. Now I've learned the process of learning the time and space in history, the French Revolution, Russian Revolution, it could be any revolution. Now I know the process of learning revolutions or in civilization, or I know the process of learning 300 words or 500 words, but which in a particular subject, which will give me access into that subject. The result of a neuroscience-based learning is a learner for life. Here, the finish line may not be as important. The ideal would be, okay, here's a chat. Okay, sorry. Can I stop here for a minute and ask you, if a few of you can turn on your camera if possible? Can ask you, are you there with me? Are you fine with this differentiation of curriculum-based learning and neuroscience-based learning? Is it crystal clear? Then we can go forward. I would like to take a couple of questions here. You can type the questions in the chat box. I'm seeing it. Or we have Mr. Vipin. Vipin can raise your hand. Vipin is there, and we have Mr. Heyman, Mr. Dhanu, all of them are here. You can even directly send them the questions and they would be able to paraphrase it and ask, make it crisp and ask me. But otherwise, in school, we are primarily focusing on curriculum-based learning. And in outside, like among the intelligentsia or their focus is more on the neuroscience based learning. Am I making my child smarter to gather more information, to make the whole process of learning faster? How to learn is more important in neuroscience than what to learn. Now I come to the next part. Okay, there are no questions, so then I'll move to the next part. But what happens when we focus too much on curriculum-based learning? So here is a very, very important point. When we focus too much on curriculum-based, there's a chance of missing the forest for the trees. Because I know very specific cases where the child was performing extremely well till grade 8 or grade 10 or sometimes even grade 12. Then the performance went down. And we would attribute it to adolescence, this, that, many things. But in nutshell, we can say the child worked hard to reach the finish line, which she or he thought. But in the process, they did not develop their innate desire to learn more. They did not celebrate knowledge about, oh, this is how nationalism came in Europe, and this is how it just got copied to other ones. Or this is how books influenced some ism in history. Oh, this is how these words are not just words in English. They are my access to the world. These words are my window to the world. My whole perception of the world, I get access through these powerful words in English or in Malayalam or in. So there's a question. Not able to hear. Okay. Sorry. So, Vipin, can you help me to look? You interrupt me and give me points which are questions which are specifically targeted to me. Okay.
Sure, sir.
And Sarita ma'am, if you want, you can anytime stop me and discuss.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. As of now, we don't have any questions.
All right.
We'll send them to you as long as we have it.
So to focus too much on this, like you might have heard, Jack Ma, Jack Ma's advice to his son: don't become a first ranker. Don't come in the first 3 ranks. Or so when he qualifies it, he says, because if you try that, you might lose the opportunity to learn so many other things which are important in life. So sometimes we have seen how toppers do not perform well in their career. I've seen large number of people. That's because this finished line became the focus, not lifelong learning. But the ideal would be, so what do you think would be ideal? Here we have, as teachers who are following CBSE curriculum, we have the responsibility to the parents to deliver 85% to a student who is at 80%, 95% to a student who is at 92%. Otherwise, why are they sending them to us? We have a responsibility, but at the same time, we also have a moral responsibility to make them love the celebrating knowledge. Like Mohanlal pushes Shobana and says, here is the child. Here is the person. You got your real person back. Or, Akshay Kumar is pushing Vidya Balan saying, this is the person you wanted. I wanted to give back, not that a body without a soul. So when your children go back to parent after 12th or 10th, or whenever they are going. They say, yeah, that is a new. Then the question. There is some person in the chat has already given a clue. The secret is to blend the two. That is, the secret is, I'll show the slide. Actually, I want to thank again our research team, Vipin, Dhanu, and Hemant sir, who spend a lot of time to make it. So I got a request from some of the teachers who are very dear to me after I NDA'd after this program with Bharat Sahodaya. They told, make it very simple. We want to make this, understand it, keep it very simple so that we know how to practice it, how to apply it in our school, how to train our teachers, and how to convince our parents to actually to go for the, don't miss the trees for the wood, or miss the wood forest for the trees. Yeah. So this is the blending the two. Here is a nice picture of a swimming pool where the focus can be on, this is the content. This is the CBSE pool. I'm just giving an example, or it could be ICSE or state board. Please hold on, Dana. There's just 1 minute. Sorry, ma'am. Please don't disturb. I'm in a meeting. I'll call you. Sorry, I'm staying in a hotel in Dubai, so there was some distraction. Sorry. So can we teach our children to swim better, to become smarter in swimming? Can we teach them the aerodynamics or the fluid dynamics of swimming? How to put their hand, how to pull it, how to streamline body, when to take air, when to push out the air, how to minimize the resistance, how to get the maximum thrust while teaching geography or content. That means here the content becomes the pool and the swimming becomes the neurobics, like aerobics. So neurobics is going to be a very, very big field. You know why? Not because of students, because we are going to go to that age very soon where we want to keep our brain alive, smart and kicking. So neurobics is not just for children, it's for everyone. So neurobics is going to be a big field. Imagine as teachers, you are neurobics expert. That means while teaching history, while teaching geography, while teaching English, while teaching biology, you tell them the process by which this science can be cause and effect, chunking can be remembered, retained fast, grasped fast, integrated with other subjects fast. That is the, somebody raised hands. So they can ask the question in the, or I can continue, Sarita ma'am. What is your...
Anita ma'am, could you please put your question in the chat box? If it can wait, we can have it at the end of the session. Otherwise, if you want an immediate response, please put it on the chat box. We'll help you out, ma'am.
Like Saiju sir, there was 2 questions. Okay, one is from Pooja Tiwari ma'am and Lisa France. Okay. They were asking, like, is it possible only for like science and math subject, or is it okay with the languages like English?
All right. Any subject. So that's a quick answer. As Sarita ma'am said, towards the end, we can take up this thing. But what we understood is what the research shows that it is possible for anything. Why even subjects? It is possible for running. It's possible for kickboxing, karate. Neuroscience is being applied everywhere. Why? In every field. 21st century, it's being applied for everywhere. But as teachers, we should have been the forerunners in it. But actually the advertisement people, and they are using it more.
So I would just like to interrupt you here. There's one question. How much improvement in performance can we expect if we apply neuroscience?
Yeah. So somebody with an expertise, let's say 1 to 10 level expertise in neuroscience. I have to put who is teaching it. So somebody with that neuroscience based teaching expertise they are at level 7 in 1 to 10 scale. Then they can actually bring in a change in about 5 to 12% in 3 months' time. But the next question is how to reach that level 7. It may take around 1 year, 3 months for us to reach that level. So we can reach that level to level 3 or 4 in 3 months' time, but then it will take one longer time in our subjects, but in our students. But if we are at level 7 or 8, in 2 to 3 months' time, we can bring around 5 to 12.5% in any subject. All right. So I'll thank you for. Yeah. So now, what is, again, I'm giving a little more explanation about what is this neuroscience based teaching, or the neurobics that we are talking about, in our analogy, the swimming, improving the swimming. What is it? So here we can, the neuroplasticity, you might have heard last time when I discussed, we use neuroplasticity or ability of the brain to learn itself. That is to learn, to improve their logic, improve the concentration, improve memory, LCM. Okay, like least common multiplier, no? Logic, concentration, memory. And then, learning the way the brain is meant to grasp, retain, integrate, and personalize, grip. So one good analogy is a washing machine. Okay, here you can see in the left side, washing machine. When we buy a washing machine, we get the owner's manual. Before we put anything in it, our spouse or whoever is good in this, they'll say, wait, you don't do, I will do. I'll look into this thing. So it's a 10 kg washing machine or a 5 kg washing machine. This is where you put the powder, soap powder. This is where you put the starch. This is where so there is an owner's manual and there is a service engineer's manual. They are two different. The neuroscience service engineer's manual is the doctor's neuroscience. But the neuroscience for the operator's manual is the teacher's neuroscience. You see the difference? That means as teachers, we will be using principles of neuroscience, just like the way we will use washing machine properly. But if there is a problem of the correction, repairs, we might call a doctor. But at home, daily, we are not calling a doctor to, or a mechanic to run our washing machine. We know how the process of running. So neuroscience, when it is used by the teacher in her or his hand as a tool to improve learning, it becomes, that means that much knowledge about the brain we should all have, irrespective whether we are English teacher or math teacher or a French teacher. Sorry, it's biology time. We should have that much knowledge about the brain. Otherwise, we shouldn't be in this business. And to develop that knowledge about the brain, it's just 2 to 3 months time, and maybe 1 year to 2 years of practice. When you are building a career which is 30 years or 40 years or 20 years, it's hardly a sacrifice. And it's not that 1 year a day you are, studying 8 hours neuroscience. It's just 1 hour of study and 6 hours of practice in the classroom. You are teachers and you go there. So now we ensure that the machine is not damaged by putting the starch in the soap location, or by putting 7 kg of cloth in a 5 kg washing machine. So similarly, as teachers, we should not brain damage our children if we don't know the right process, if we do not know the amount, how much, when, how to connect. Why is it a child finding difficulty in boarding, attention deficient? What is that prerequisite which is lacking? Can we use data science to identify the loss? Can we put that back in a very fast using certain algorithm? This is the analogy of a washing machine. And so here, other learning skills practices, how much to study, when to study. Is forgetting okay? Yes, it is. Forgetting is considered to be absolutely fine. If you don't trust me, read the book How We Learn by Benedict Carey. Developing emotional connect. Can I teach this in a way that the child gets an emotional connect to the learning? So NEP 2020 talks about all these, like, real life connect and cross-curricular connect and sports integration, art integration. But we think they are all some rules that is brought. No, they are not rules brought. They are brought this with this neuroscience in mind. That thing which I can connect to real life, then I find a meaning to it, a purpose to it. And not only that, every time I see that real life object, they become memory triggers for me to think about what I learned. How can the learning become ubiquitous? It's not just restricted to the four walls of the classroom. This is possible in every chapter while teaching every subject, provided we use the right tools. So I'll come to that. So developing, crunching data, grasping. So the whole, when I was invited for this, or was also told by the organizers that I should give an insight in how these things are done in a platform. So I am going to show how the neuroscience, aligning neuroscience and curriculum-based teaching learning, and how to create an ecosystem for that. So I'm taking an example out here. So this is the platform which I created with the help of nearly 200 plus educationists who have almost 15, 20 plus experience in. So I am grateful to the teaching community again. This is a time when we understood that it's not the software people that makes platform, educational platform, is the teachers. They may use a software man can sit next to a teacher to say what they want. So this is a work of many people, and also many educationists from many schools, like from Trivandrum, from Dubai, from Qatar, from Saudi, all have contributed immensely to it. And they have shared their experience, they have corrected, they proofread over 7 years in total, but last 3 years very extensively. So before I show that, I'd like to express my gratitude to all those educators. Some of them may be here in this 270 plus people who are attending this meeting. So I'll just show how data science and neuroscience can be mixed to make learning a an accelerated learning. So how much more time do we have? It's 6:30, 6:25 here.
So we have around, say, half an hour.
Very good. So I'll rush through. And so I'm going to give an example of how, and because it's a CBSE Sahodaya program, so let me take it from CBSE itself. But this same thing is applied. Knowledge is knowledge. So it is applicable across, but I'll show how in CBSE this is applied. So let us take a topic like, electricity. So in electricity, if you see, these are there's physics teachers here. So, electric circuit and electric potential, circuit diagrams, Ohm's law, factors, a lot of things. Or if you take CBSE, then, these are the mathematics. If you take quadratic equation, then, middle term splitting, solving quadratic, completing the terms, nature of roots, and, all these are the topics. Take, let's say, history or geography and agriculture. This is a topic which children have a lot of thing in types of farming, cropping patterns, major crops. So, practically here, everything is there in political science and including Hindi. It's all there. Now, the question is, if I am going to teach a group of students in grade 10, this chapter, electricity, and these many topics. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I have a question to ask you before I go further. As a teacher, what's our biggest challenge? See, I'm going to walk in tomorrow to teach electricity as a topic to 35 students. Or as principal of the school, you want so-and-so to go and teach this, and you want a learning outcome that's almost sum all the students have 70% of the students, all the students have understood or can get 70% mark. Some can get this, almost some, all those, you have your success criteria. But what would be the challenge for you? So
we have an answer. Introducing the concept is going to be the greatest challenge.
Topic which clear to my all low achievers. Very nice. Okay. Nice. That's a nice point which is said. So one of the, our greatest challenge is, we may know 1 person or 2 person or 5 person or 15 person, but we should know how the class behaves. That means now we have 2 entities. If 35 students are there, we have 35 entities plus 1. That is a class, that's total. And before we go to neuroscience, most important step, baby step in that is data science. So this year onwards, NEP 2020 has made it compulsory for teachers to learn data science. There are very specific courses for data. Even Mr. Dhanu, who is a data analytics expert, is there today, Vipin? No, I can't see. Okay, there are courses for specifically for teachers. So how does data science help? We can actually profile the class. So now, see, there is a difference between classical data science and neuroscience, data science for neuroscience intervention. Please keep this in mind. Or you want to note down, you can note down also. Generally, data science give who are the low profile, low achievers, middle achievers, high achievers, and what are the. But when you drill down, it goes to analytics, not analysis, but analytics, breaking down to further and further down. You will want to know what are the exact prerequisites for each of these topics. What are the weightage functions for this? And how many students in my class have this high weightage functions missing, high weightage topic. For example, again, I'll just show here. And if you take the same topic, electricity, and if you see this first 1, 2, 3 topics, it's all mostly concepts which are built from grade 6, 7, 8. Content, static electricity, heating effect of electric current, chemical effect of electric current, and all those concepts, circuit diagrams and things like that. But the moment it goes to 12.4 and above, what would come? Mathematics. Because direct proportionality, when it goes to resistors in parallel and series, what will come? Even fractions, transposing of transposing, or linear equations for solving, or percentages, the wire thickness reduced by 30%, new resistance. So cross curricular. So now, how do me as a teacher can exactly know what is that topic which my class is lacking before I start the teaching? At one point of time, we thought we can. So I have attended parent teachers. When my son himself had problem, I would go to parent teachers meeting, and the teachers would say that he's weak in math. I know that. You don't have to tell me he's weak in math or biology or weak in this or weak in geography. What I need to know is, in math, what is it? In is in geometry, algebra, or is it operations of numbers, or is it just number systems? If it is polynomials, is it because he has a problem with algebra? Or if it is in a problem with the number system, is it because the number domains like the integers and radical or rational numbers, irrational number, is it not clear? Pinpoint. 21st century teaching is not very sweet, glorious thing. I don't know, I just gave him a lot of love and then he improved. No, that is right. You give him love, you improve it. But pinpoint and say, Exactly like, one of my very dear person, very dear to me, she has endometriotic cyst. And it has to be operated. But the doctor pinpointed, say it is 2 mm. Last year it was 3 mm. Now it's only 2 mm. So why do you want to do it? No point. It's about data. It's about how it's. Golding's famous statement, in God we trust. Trust everybody, bring data. So how do we create that data? So that is the first part, the prepare phase. So we can divide our teaching to 4 phases: prepare, learn, and test, and celebrate. So where we prepare them, homogenize the class. One of the reasons why many of the children we lose early on in our teaching is because they are not homogenized, or they are not, their prerequisite knowledge is not leveled. So here, the diagnostic test can vary within seconds, within minutes. A diagnostic test can actually tell us. And these are all AI and ML based, so it can tell the teacher whether the problem of the child is in remembering or understanding or application, or the problem is in solving a math problem which is taking longer time. Is he using the right method, or is it a repeated mistake the child is making? So, the short circuit, I'm just giving 2 examples. So here, heating effect of electric current. The electric train doesn't use that. So connecting too many appliances with a socket may lead to, so I'm saying short circuiting is the wrong answer. Here, math. This chapter is, although it's physics, it has a cross-curricular dependency heavily on math, fractions. So as a teacher, you would like to know, I think the D is the answer, but let's me select B. Positive to negative electron flow. See, because there's Ohm's law, where voltage is directly proportional to current, and the proportionality constant is resistance. I'm skipping it just to show. And even unit conversion, some children may have decimeter, 100 decimeter, and is equal to, so deci is 10. Coils of heating devices are made up of. Tendency of the children is to write copper because, most of the, but actually it's nichrome. So I'm just saying, when the child submit these tests, even they're all doing it from home. They are not, you are not losing your time. See, when one of the questions which mostly I am asked by teachers is, if we do that, will we lose time? You are not even started teaching, because this can be done in flipped mode. They can attend, they can do it from home. And you only have to tell the child, my dear child, I'm not giving mark. I just want to know your problem so that I can teach. So if you don't know, just don't skip it. Like when you go to a doctor and you have a stomach problem, you will not say, I don't have a problem, doctor. You'll not tighten the muscles in the stomach when somebody is doing ultrasonic scan. That's because you want the doctor to know. Why can't we create an ecosystem in learning where the student is saying, I want you to know my problem. I've not been struggling for last 3 years. And now if you can solve it, fine. You let me, I'm happy to share all my problems. I'll do 10 diagnostic tests for you. You take the data and tell me what is the problem, whether my endometriosis cyst is growing or reducing. Why can't we as teachers can act like doctors? That is the NEP 2020. That is, education, and that is neuroscience-based education. So here is a test analyzer which the teacher can get, whether the student's issue is remembering, understanding, application, or higher order thinking. How much time? Here he made a mistake in this. It's actually 1 minute only. It's actually took 17 seconds. So he must have just guessed or skipped. This is skipped. Poor child may not be knowing the answer. So now in this, you can get even class analytics, where how much percentage of my class is having problem in math for learning this chapter in physics. You get the point? Not that, my class, like one of these, one recently I was in Kollam or somebody in Koilon, one place, and we were talking to a principal or somebody, and they were saying, no, there's no issue at all in math. How is that possible? There has to be learning gaps which are that, otherwise everybody is a high achiever. Yeah, so here, now let me see if here, as I have a problem, I got it correct, or let's say heating, this is wrong. I thought it is copper, but it's actually nichrome. Remember, you have not started teaching it. Before coming to class, your student can know what is the mistake I made. Nichrome is more stable in terms of resistance of an alloy than copper. When I heat copper, so why my answer is wrong and why the other answer is right? So now you might say, but how will a low achiever know it? Remember, he was a low achiever. He had difficulty in learning this when he was in 7th. Now he's in 10th. To reinstate or reinstate that missing learning gap, it will take only 2 to 3 minutes for a child. You understood what I'm saying? Because as a grade 7 child, I might have found difficulty in ratios and proportion. But now in grade 10, I'm making the mistake. I can go back and read, oh, this is what my teacher told me. Now, this is where neuroscience comes to help. So here, do you see this? Now, I want to know why I made this, this concept. Now, if I click on learn the concept, I, as a grade 10 student, can go back to grade 7 and learn why nichrome is a better heating device than copper. Now, you see, I want to tell one important principle in neuroscience. How many of you know my name? A large number. That's because now those of you have heard my name twice, once in the conference and once now. Maybe it's very difficult for you to forget my name for the rest of your lifetime. That's because when first time it was difficult, it was funny name, Saiju Aravind. Not a great name to have, Saiju. But right now, second time, when you reconnect to that name, it becomes almost like permanent memory. Imagine the same thing is going to happen to your child who and 7th missed or have not understood this heating effect or of copper or nichrome's quality. When they go back and see the same thing, it's a spatial and visual memory for them. Neuroscience. So just behind Sarita ma'am, there's a nice picture of a brain and neuroscience in education. Right behind her head, you can see that. Idea is that brain stores this information in a particular way. Many of us, when we were children, when we had the examination all write about Mahatma Gandhi, we even knew the page number and the picture of Gandhi and which left side, right side, where did it come. Reconnecting it to that same, reconnecting it to the same topic where I learned ratios and proportions. It is not, it need not be from physics. See, for example, come back, I made a mistake here. The system can even predict the mistakes that I might make in future. Although I not attempted the 17th or 19th question. So here, question number 3, I wrote short circuiting, but it's overloading. Again, the view solution here, why it is overloading, but you want to learn the concept. The whole fuse methodology is fuse uses that underlying science that overload, resistors, heat is generated and the extra heat can burn the coil and protecting the equipment. Now, these are not grade 10 topics in strictly, they are prerequisites. It's also reintroduced there, but that prerequisite as child can learn and come. And imagine as a teacher, if you got statistics that out of, so see what happens for a teacher. After the test, when the teacher comes back to that topic, the system can auto-populate by step down all the topics that are prerequisites of this chapter, which is taught in 6th, 7th, 8th. Textbook cannot do it. When I remember when I was teaching my son 12th, calculus and statistics, I found that his prerequisite is lacking from grade. To teach calculus, you need to teach limits and functions of 11th. To teach limits and functions of 11th, you have to teach polynomials and the quadratic equation of 9th and 10th. To teach that, our man did not have basics of grade 8 for whatever reasons. Not his fault, his father's fault. Yeah, but let me admit it. If he's seeing it somewhere, this conference, he should know that I'm responsible for that. Pin has a smile on his face. Yeah. Yeah. So the idea is that due to whatever reason, a child might have missed out a class in grade 9. He must be having appendicitis, or a teacher might have taken paternity leave or maternity leave, or a boy was sitting next would have tormented him or her, that emotionally the child could not attend that class of polynomials or chemical equations or valency, or English or history, one chapter on Nelson Mandela. Now this connects, this step down connect, and not only that, as a math physics teacher, I get the cross curricular math and chemistry which is required for the child for that. Now imagine, I also get a statistical data that out of 35 students, 80% of the students are very strong in all these concepts. Only 10% students require this graphical method, pair of linear equation, and conversion of units. Then what will I do as a teacher? I have clear data with me. I'm going to walk into the class and I know so-and-so, so-and-so, and so are the 3 children who are not going to understand this topic because they don't know direct proportionality. So as a genuine teacher, what should I do? Teach them 7 periods and at the end of it, declare them as low achievers and teach remedial period class for them? That is very unfair, because you already kind of, you spend so much, 8 periods are over. The idea would be to take 10 minutes and pre-teach them. You're not losing much time, because if they say, I'm going to explain ratios and proportions, because I know some of you may need, you don't even have to name the child, because data is there with you. 30% of the class has shown different difficulty in problems in percentage. And 20% of them had issues in electrons, protons, movement, and their sign convention in electricity. Let me explain that in 10 minutes time. And at the end of the class, I'm going to finish this class in 30 minutes, so that the last 15 minutes I can spend on bridging that gap with some of you. Now you have 100% class onboarded in this train of thought. The train is moving fast. Neuroscience of attention deficiency or efficiency can be addressed here. So I'm combining data science, neuroscience into CBSE curriculum now. So now, when you are, other thing is, when you are crunching a lot of data, when you have to remember a lot of things, there is also something called structuring of information. You can structure it. Just like, I want to ask you a question. When you get a new handkerchief, Sarita ma'am, you please help me. When you get a bunch of handkerchief and towels your husband has brought or your child has brought, where will you keep it? In your house, where will you keep? If I bring us.
In the cupboard, obviously, that would be my most obvious choice.
Yeah, in the cupboard, where will you keep? Will you keep with the items where pant and shirt is kept, or salwar and kameez are kept, or you have some other place? Just kerchiefs, handkerchiefs.
If I am an ideal organizer, I should have separate sections.
Why would you need separate sections? Why can't you just put it along with your...
So that whenever it's time for me to get ready, I should have everything handy.
That is it. The whole idea of storing information is to recover it. The whole idea of the brain, it's not that you just want your child to mug up a lot of things. The idea is you want them to store information. If you're teaching grade 11, half the topic of physics in grade 11 is classical mechanics. So the child should know these are all connected classical mechanics. And electricity, energy, many energy, and electricity comes under that. And the effect of electricity could be heat or magnetism. That is why CBSE has put electric current as a unit. Where magnetism comes under electric current, you can, if you look at it. Why? Because it's a unit, because one is talking about the heating effect, one is talking about the magnetic effect. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up in this thing. I'm so glad that you are enjoying it. So here, coming back to it, can we create structure for them? Like, this Ohm's law is coming under circuits and under current electricity, or I'll take another topic, sorry. Taking history, nationalism in India. What is that structure? So, nationalism in India, understanding it, the First World War and its relationship, the different strands within movement, civil disobedience, sense of collective. And if you look at the summary view of it, the child should have this cupboard in their mind. First World War, idea of satyagraha, Khilafat movement. This is also called cartographic learning, where the child has a structure, just like Sarita ma'am has her cupboard, and she will ensure that handkerchiefs are not mixed with children's shoes, socks, or sorry about that. Yeah. Now coming back to, sorry about that. Yeah. Then that means there's a prepare phase where you create this structure. The keywords, I'm going to teach nationalism in India. If I teach this, many of the children I may lose because they can't just understand forced recruitment and boycott or picket or bigger or dominion spouse. It's actually basically implied giving a semi-autonomous status to India. So folklore, I remember my teacher teaching me the word folklore, and I wondered what the heck the meaning is. So the traditional beliefs, customs, and stories. So actually these 7 or 8 words before you teach nationalism can actually change the way a child, it's also neuroscience, it's called hooks in the brain. Some of you had asked me to make it simple. Let me look at it like this. When you have constructed your house, while constructing your house, you would have put hooks for the fan, because fan is going to come there. So you made a strong point, made a steel hook, put it onto the reinforcement steel, and then cemented it nicely. You can create these hooks in the brain. And so that means you practically can make a low achiever and a middle achiever and a high achiever almost at the same level before you started teaching, without even spending time on them. In flipped mode, effectively you can do it in 20 minutes for a chapter which you are going to finish in 8 hours. So what's the ratio? If you do the other method of remedial code teaching, it will take double the time. That means 8 class may become 10 class, because you might require 2 to 3 periods for bridging the gap for the child. So many of the people who are listening to this, maybe from this part of the world, the Middle East, KHDA, ADEC, and Ministry of Education, Qatar, many of you had that challenge. So the idea of homogenization or bridging the gap can actually comes from neuroscience and data science. And as is a mathematical algorithm, which I showed to you last time, delta K, maybe some of you are interested, I can show that. This is the prepare phase will ensure that the hooks are laid, and it can be laid in flipped mode with 10 to 20 minutes maximum intervention for a whole chapter. But now comes the catch. See, if you see the hooks laying for electricity, it might take 20 minutes. That's what I said, right? But if you see, if you have to lay hooks for light and reflection, that will take only 5 minutes, because 80% of the hooks which are required in electricity are same as the hooks which are required for light and optics, refraction. Isn't it beautiful? See, if you see the cross-curricular, see, LCM, ratios, transposing, only additional thing is a little bit of trigonometry. Measuring angles. Proportion is same, solving a pair of linear equation, conversion unit. Magical. So as we develop the culture of doing this neuroscience-based interventions and data science-based intervention, the time required will keep reducing. So I would say, as an answer to many of you asked, will we be able to finish our portion in 12th if you do, or 10th if you do, or 12th if you do that? I would say you can finish it in 80% of the time. It's a Pareto's principle. You will require 80% time to finish 20% of very strong topics. But rest 20% of the time is only required to finish 80% of the topic, provided the first 20% is done properly. Yeah. So now coming to the next phase, the learn phase. In learn phase, if you see, here is one other thing, that is, some of you in this part of the world again who are into benchmark tests like TIMSS, PISA, CAT4, and where you get to know the learning bias of the child, spatial, visual, verbal. This is the time when your own topics can be pitched in a way, your content. So although CBSE content, the same CBSE content can be made into visual, auditory, reading, kinesthetic form. Just to give you a small example, a topic in grade 9, electoral politics. Actually, a better way to teach would be simply to conduct an election in your school. And electoral politics of grade 9, where you can do and discover, where you can put the election pictures of your children doing multiple stages of election. How much time it will take? One period. You conduct a mock election and the children only do this. Yeah. Where you can actually conduct the election and the children, what happens when a child, I have a question to ask. What happens when a child while learning sees himself or herself doing that? What is that? Like, for example, learning is actually not, it's actually an experience. The experience stays with us. So in this meeting, although information, some of you may remember, the whole experience of interacting with me stays with you. Some of you may, the experience includes the movie or Bhool Bhulaiya, my son's issues, the way in which I spoke something, the way in which I moved my hand, the hyper, whatever. It's an experience. So imagine seeing me going for voting, or me counting, me becoming an election, or my friend is an election officer. Somebody is given the machine. So it's one period. So there are visual, auditory, experiential learning. Yes, exactly. Some of you have told. You might even ask a set of students to come and recite a poem, or and you might take that video of that and upload it in that class. So it's very simple. While I do, just click on a button here, and you add your notes, you add your video. On which topic? On that topic of electoral politics. Electoral politics. Yeah, exactly. Now, which means you're converted, it's called, so Vipin, there's an article which, okay, I'll just show you. There's an article which I wrote, probably the first article I wrote. It's about emotional connect to learning. I want to copy it and put it in the chat box to some
And
of
also,
you.
so we can send all these links at the end of the session in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp group.
All right. But just to, yeah, because Vipin, I know Vipin's worry is somebody will go into that and not hear what I'm speaking, right? That's your worry?
Yes, sir.
All right. So don't worry about it. I'll request them not to. Please don't open that link, but you can just save that link and keep it with you. And it's about emotional. As teachers, if we can, as my only responsibility as my father was, emotional connect for learning to my son. It took me only around 45 days of being with him and 3 months of supporting him. Neuroplasticity. And after 3 months, he started learning himself. And tiger tasting blood. You know something which is interesting in neuroscience, the dopamine effect for low achievers can be so infectious that once they start cracking something, they will not leave it. They'll be studying like they'll be studying like a tiger who has tasted blood. How that euphoria, that moment of epiphany that we have to recreate in the class. So I think, so moving to how much more time, Sarita ma'am, I don't want to violate the...
I think we should be able to finish, sir, within another 5 to 10 minutes maximum, 10, 15 minutes. That's
All
it.
right.
Salam, sir. Will that be okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
10 minutes more.
Yeah.
Then we come to the, like, as a teacher, as I'm teaching, there are, as you know, AOL, assessment of learning, assessment for learning, like some sort of formative test for us to know whether our desired outcome objective of a lesson plan is being met. And how do I tweak the class so that I can meet it? These are again a big data science input for a teacher to do it in a neuroscience manner. So here, this is a test phase where, you know, last 10 years board exam questions, CBQ based questions, like I'll just... So say I taught mathematics, I taught, okay. Another important, I'm glad that the mathematics I took. See, I'm teaching quadratic equation to a student and I have to teach all these things. Now, what do I do to a low achiever? There are hundreds of questions in quadratic equations, finding by middle term splitting, or there are hundreds of questions that can come in rise of nationalism. Now, a child who is struggling, who is not understood these topics properly, and the board exam is coming, curriculum and neuroscience. Now, how do I merge it? So there is a technique called, again, it uses neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity was, those of you are hearing, can I request a few or more to turn on the camera so that I am excited to talk about this one concept of, it's called, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so now, see, this is it. It is Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was talking about, the karate. And he told one thing, I'm not afraid when he's fighting with another person. He said, I'm not afraid of a man who knows thousands of kicks. But I am afraid of a man. Can any of you complete it? You can type it in the text box. I'm not afraid of a man who knows thousands of kicks, but I'm afraid of a man who has practiced.
Who's perfect in one.
Yeah, who knows or who has practiced one kick 1,000 times. That's what he said. That means that perfection, when a student tastes the success of cracking one thing, and that can actually take them, dopamine effect can kick in. And how in brain, what happens, there's something called, when you do something repeatedly, there's brain, the dendrite connection, the synaptic ends, and the brain's picture. Look at the picture which is on the left side of Sarita ma'am, or on, yes, that lot of dendrite, like the network connections coming out. They are like, there are two networks coming like this. When you do something quadratic equation, or let's say when you are studying agriculture, rabi crop and kharif crop, it's a chemical transmission first time. But when you do it again and again, then it becomes a functional net, or a structural change in the brain, where myelin formation comes, signals travel fast. In the examination hall, suddenly, oh, I got it. I know it is connected to that. This question in application of trigonometry, which I am solving, is actually connected to that particular topic. Or this particular physics problem can be solved with linear equations in math in the other topic. This is formed by a process called template. So it's a neuroscience process. So if you see here, template. In template, what happens is, instead of giving, there are only 6 or 5 problems. And when you do that, the templates have to be chosen by neuroscience-based teaching experts, because they know if you do that one problem. This is also used by chess players. Pragyananda, the young boy who defeated Magnus Carlsen, right? All of you must be knowing. Pragyananda, when he plays chess with his coach, it's not that, coach, come, let's play a new game. That's not how they play. Pragyananda and his coaches will sit and say, let us take the game which Vishwanath Anand played against Anat Kasparov. Move number 8 onwards. Let's arrange the board. I'm going to play the game, but what is coming in your mind? I'm going to play this pawn. He said, no. Kasparov played this particular bishop to this place. What do you think is the reason? So Kasparov's that game with Vishwanath Anand, they will play a few times, or will observe a few times, till a pattern is formed in the brain. So the bright people have this ability to recognize pattern and chunk information into that pattern. For example, I am teaching French history. French history. Say I'm taking French Revolution of grade 9. Just please bear with me and see this example. It's a so history. If I'm taking French Revolution and see this topic of French society, the outbreak, and the reading political thing. So we will teach things like, how Robespierre came and how he was assassinated, and all the tennis court oath and King Louis XVI, all those stories. But if you look at the pattern, interesting pattern comes. The pattern is always cause, role of intellectual. So there is a intellectual, there is a oppression, either human right oppression or economic oppression. And then there is that's a cause. And then what is the immediate effect? There is a rebellion. There is an uprisal. Then what is the next thing? There's a bigger oppression this time. And the next thing is intellectuals and all coming. And coming to writers coming together. And then there's a revolution and a change of regime. Now, these 5 patterns in revolution is there in Chinese Revolution, Russian Revolution, French Revolution. A smart teacher won't just be worried about teaching French Revolution. A smart teacher will teach the pattern behind revolution, so that the student can actually put in any revolution to that pattern. In fact, your neuroscience-based teaching will be, when somebody talks about Chinese Revolution, the student should ask, tell me what was the oppression, whether it was economic or human right violation or some other thing. Tell me who are the people who were the cause of first uprisal. Tell me how did the a bigger oppression came. Whom all did they conspire with? Belgium, Hungary, whether they conspire with these countries? And tell me, this time when you had a bigger revolution, who are the writers, intellectuals came together? This is neuroscience. This is the underlying pattern where if I get the pattern, I can chunk. For example, again, just to As a teacher, I'm teaching biology. But biology, one of the biggest challenges is the words in biology, because nobody will understand biology's words. And that is why many of intelligent children, they give up. So, here in biology, so there is a tool, there's an app called Vocabtree, which actually strips the biology textbook of all the difficult word for a particular year, for a particular topic. So here, the word autotroph, word number 7, you can see here, the word autotroph is actually means an organism which is capable of synthesizing its own food. So the key word here is food. Now, that is you a student may learn it by hearting. Autotroph, an organism capable of synthesizing its own food. Autotroph, an organism capable of making its own food. Autotroph, that's in neuroscience, that's called repetition. Do I have to repeat so many times? Can I go to the etymology of it and say auto is self? Only one word to learn is troph here. And troph, if you know it is nourishment, then you should be able to know autotroph is self-nourishment, heterotroph is nourishing from others, prototroph is some organism which has original nourishment. Syntrotroph doesn't look like a word I know, but actually I know syn coming together with like, and so there, syntrotrophy is the relationship between the individual or different species in which one or both benefit nutritionally. And this word syn, look at it, amazing. We moved from biology to synopsis, syndicate, history and English. Isn't it amazing that we started with biology and we ended in history and English? And isn't it amazing? The human brain has this wonderful ability to recognize a pattern. All these biological words, erythrodermitis, erythroblasis fetalis. This is the first thing I taught my daughter when she was in grade 8. I told her, I'll teach you 75 words, knowing which there is nothing remains to be known. Just a joke. Okay. Knowing which there is nothing difficult for you to understand in biology. And that was 75 etymological root words from Greek and Latin, using memory techniques. And by which you hear a word, you can guess the meaning. Then imagine studying biology, you'll be reading a song. It's reading English. So I also told, now there are pattern recognition again, not just in, this is a pattern, this I told about pattern recognition, pegging and chunking. The word troph, I pegged it to nourishment. Then I can chunk autotroph, heterotroph, syntrotroph, everything. Or similarly, in children who are studying French Revolution, many times when you tell the student, 1774, King Louis XVI ascended to throne, and 1789, there's tennis court oath. It's very difficult for the child to keep this information in brain because they themselves don't know what is 18th century. They are thinking 18th century is 1850. They don't know 18th century is 1700 to 1800. You are teaching them history, they don't have a sense of timeline. So here, imagine if you can introduce the whole concept of time and space. That means geography and history are married, where you get the whole timeline of French Revolution, and you can even compare it with the timeline of nationalistic movement in India or nationalistic movement in Europe, and come connected. And imagine, now again, I'm going to talk about a very important neuroscience point. Imagine after my 9th, I am not going to touch French Revolution, right? I'm not saying, but let's say I am writing my CLAT exam in 12th, after my 12th, or I'm writing my humanity exam of IIT Chennai, or at that time, or law, any other entrance exam, or I'm preparing for civil service during my degree. If I can see the same timeline which my teacher taught me, why are we making this curriculum just school? Only in school they should study. After that, they should never revisit the textbook in CBSE. Why can't the child carry their own timelines? Gandhiji is older than my father by 140 years. They should be able to peg it. Instead of saying Gandhiji was born in 1869. 1869 is just a number. How will I remember? But if I know Gandhiji is 145 years older than my father, my father's age, nobody has to teach me. And birth. Pegs, peg formation, hooks, pegging and chunking. So now I got Gandhiji. Now I know Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Gopal Krishna Gokhale was older to, and Rabindranath Tagore was older to Gandhiji. And when Gandhiji was 8 years old, Queen Victoria became the Emperor of India. Chunking. Now Gandhiji's birth has become a peg or a hook in my brain. Are we going to teach our children neuroscience of learning, or are we going to just teach them content? It's an awesome opportunity. It's a revolution that's going to come in the world of learning, where we as teachers will act exactly like doctors. And we as teachers will teach children not the fruit is the academic performance and competitive exams and career, etc. This is the fruit. But the leaf is what makes them beautiful, is the soft skill, their ability to use their personality to project their hard skill. That's a soft skill. The language, their ability to deal with people, interpersonal skills. And the trunk itself is the life skill that they will not break. They may bend, but they will not break under any circumstances. But the beauty, the root of it is the learning skills, developing learning skills. Neuroscience is actually watering the root of this tree. So did I finish on time, Sarita ma'am?
Very much, sir, very much. And I'm sure people wouldn't have minded even some more time. They would be happy to join us, but we have to
1 minute
abide by the time.
Yeah, 1 minute. So now this is the movie ending where Mohanlal or they push. I want to show you that particular video clip a little bit. Okay, so just spare with me. It's a movie which I am showing. So here is the clip where I'll play Bhool Bhulaiya because many of you are from different part of the world. So listen to this.
जरूरत नहीं है आदि, मुझे सब कुछ मालूम है। कितने लोगों की एहसान है मुझ पे, लेकिन सिद्धार्थ का एहसान मैं कैसे चुका पाऊंगी? मुझे इतना प्यार करने के लिए, मुझे झेलने के लिए, मेरा पागलपन बर्दाश्त करने के लिए।
ठीक है भाई, मैंने अपना सारा वादा पूरा कर दिया। जाओ, ले जाओ उसे, जाओ। सारे काम पूरे कर दिए, सिवाय एक काम छोड़।
I would like to also play the original version, which I like as much.
നന്ദിയുണ്ട് പലരോടും, ശ്രീദേവി ചേച്ചിയോടും സണ്ണിയോടും ഒക്കെ. പക്ഷേ എത്ര ജന്മങ്ങൾ നന്ദി പറഞ്ഞാലും തീരാത്തത് എന്റെ നകുലേട്ടനോടാണ്. ഇത്രയും എന്നെ സ്നേഹിക്കുന്നതിന്.
കേട്ടില്ലടാ, കേട്ടില്ലേ? ഈ നിൽക്കുന്ന നിന്റെ ഗംഗെ, മനസ്സിന്റെ ഓരോ പരമാണു കൊണ്ടും നിന്നെ സ്നേഹിക്കുന്ന ജീവസും ഓജസ്സും ഉള്ള ഈ ഗംഗയെ നിനക്ക് തിരിച്ചു തരാമെന്നടാ ഞാൻ ഏറ്റത്, ഞാൻ ആഗ്രഹിച്ചത്. ഇന്ന് പിടിച്ചോടാ.
Yeah.
So actually, this movie is released on 1993, right? I think there was same incident in your home. It's happening. I think 2011, right?
Yeah.
You push your son to.
Yeah,
So
actually, when my son cleared CLAT exam, I pushed him to my wife and told, "This is the son we wanted, not that." Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Saiju Arvind. That was a fantastic session today, and I'm sure all our participants will agree with me when I say that. You have very beautifully reminded us that learning should be and always be a celebration, and that we must have an emotional connect with gaining knowledge. One of the most important takeaways that I have taken from this session is that we need to remind ourselves and our children that how to learn is more important than what to learn. and that the focus must not be on curriculum-based learning, but learning as a joyful experience. So thank you very much for that reminder, sir. Thank you very much. And
I may add one line to what you said, ma'am. Actually, curriculum is important because parents are expecting. But when you do a process-based, neuroscience-based learning, that automatically it's like one is achieved as a result of the other.
Absolutely.
And, right.
Do we have time for a quick few questions, Salam sir?
So,
yes, of course. We can.
These are some that you can send me the questions or send these people also questions, whatever. So we can mail the answer. Salam sir, so over to you. So I thought some of them may be shy to ask. So in that case, they can message the questions. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do we have any? We have time for a couple of questions. Would anyone be interested in asking any question right now? Ms. Lata, just a minute. Lata ma'am, you can speak. I've unmuted you.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the first place, I wholeheartedly thank Mr. Saiju Arvind and the entire Bharat Sahodaya team. Definitely Dr. Abdul Salam, the main force behind all these things. My question is the kind of test that we can conduct before the lesson. Do we have any particular app which is suggested by Mr. Saiju Arvind?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So I've been working my last 1 decade. I've been researching and working on this. So the app which I showed you is one of the. There are many apps, so you can choose from any this thing, whatever is in the thing. But what we use, or what our partner schools, like some of, like I'll just show you here. This is one particular school. So they use the test report, the app. So there they have this. Like I'm just a minute. I'll show you how. Say, yeah. So
Yes.
here, this is an app which in mathematics, for example, you want to know mathematics and it's arithmetic progression in this. So apply. So you get to know this is a diagnostic test done out of 41 students, 36 have performed, and question-wise analysis. So here is 16 only got this right. And this is a factorization problem. So this is an app which we use for our partner schools, where we can diagnose and we can even come to a student who has got very less marks. He got only say 4 out of his thing. So we can go to that child and then see what happened. So here the child has improved automatically. So, but if you say the initial thing where they went wrong, here is a question, and we can. This child made mistake here. This is the actual answer. So this is the app. It's called edubrisk.com, which what you see in the above my head.
Yes, sir. Is the content preloaded?
It's it comes with 350,000 tests which are preloaded for diagnostics and analytics based intervention purposes. And the step down, they learn the concept, all that cross curricular connections, and all are preloaded in the app.
How do we go? How do we get to this, sir? So how do we go about getting it?
Just contact us. We will be able to share the information.
Fine,
otherwise, Vipin is there. You can just take down his number, or any of or we'll be happy to. These are the. You can take a screenshot of this.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Lata ma'am. I think that's it. We don't have any more questions right now. So with that, we have come to the end of today's session.
There's a thing like slide number 22 has few questions. So I don't have to take it, or should I take it? I sent a private message has come to me. I mean, I'm fine.
Sir, you may take it if you want, because we haven't received a message. You can address that.
No, so actually, no. So what was the message we got in the chat box? Okay, we used to type and kept it here.
Okay,
I think
slide number 22. Okay, there's chat box. Personal questions have come. Okay. Nikita, the means teachers should know NLP. Teachers should know not NLP. They should know neuroscience of learning. which is actually can be learned in 2 to 3 months time, and you can practice and perfect it in 1 year, 3 months time. If you ask detail why it should take 1 year, 3 months and all, or 3 months to initially learn, I will explain you in another occasion. Then that can be another topic on, how to practice neuroscience of learning and why the neuroplasticity and what are the areas, what is the course time, and how to, there's a program already called STEP Neuroscience, School Teacher Empowerment Program in Neuroscience, that Hemant knows these details of it, so you can contact. How can you improve memory levels of students? Is there any technique? Absolutely. So there is a World Memory Council came up with this understanding that there is nothing called good memory or bad memory. So this is the program, Brain Utilization in Learning and Development for Teachers. It is a 3 months course. But it can be done in 3 to 4 days, but practice over 3 months and perfected over 1 year, 3 months. So here in this particular, memory is actually, how does memory work? So memory by association, memory by repetition, and world memory. It says that there is nothing called good memory or bad memory. It's only trained or untrained memory. So this is an information which some of you can use, which means all of us can practice that. Anybody. And another question, how much improvement of that I already told, that it is typically around 5 to 12.5% in 3 to 1 year, 3 to 6 months time by an expert. But if will it increase the teacher's job? Will it increase the teacher's job? No, it actually will reduce. Will it be able to cover portion? Yes, it will be able to cover portion in 80% of the time. That means you will have 20% extra time to attend to low achievers and others. Yes, that's it, ma'am. I'm done. Over to you.
So, sir, can we wind up?
Yes, please.
Yes. As we come to the end of today's session, it's an honor to propose the vote of thanks. I begin by thanking our esteemed resource person for today, Mr. Saiju Arvind, and his team for conducting such a wonderful session. Sir, we all have gained a lot more knowledge on the subject neuroscience in education, which will certainly help us to become better educators and facilitators. Your exuberance, passion, and zest are contagious, and you have left us with a lot of food for thought. We have so many takeaways from this session. My humble thanks and gratitude to our program director, Dr. Abdul Salam, for giving me an opportunity to work for Bharat Sahodaya and for his unflinching support. Thank you, sir. A special thanks to our program collaborator, Mr. Shibu, for supporting us in every way. A big round of applause for our technical team for today, Mr. Arun Mohan and Mr. Arafat. Both of them worked tirelessly behind the scenes for all the Bharat Sahodaya webinars. So all of you take care, rest, enjoy your weekend. Over to you, Salam, sir. I request you to please deliver the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarida ma'am, for the nice job you have done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Saiju sir and your team. Wonderful presentation. A lot of takeaways, a lot of food for thinking. We have to think, in terms of neuroscience, which is 3 points, I have noticed are it is revolutionizing the teaching process. And teachers are to be like doctors. If a patient comes to a doctor and simply the doctor says you are not well, the patient knows that I am not well. He is not well. But the doctor should be able to tell the patient what is his problem. That is where the job of teachers lies. So thank you so much for this mind-opening, eye-opening session. And the third thing is the reaching to the root in terms of your preparation, reaching to the root and find out what means and ways to start from the root so that students will be remembering things. So thank you so much for these wonderful takeaways. And I don't think with this session we can end up neuroscience in education. This is just the beginning, I believe. We have to go miles and miles. So hope you will be with us with Bharat Sahodaya, because lots of educators are looking forward to learning a lot and lot especially new things that comes in line with the revolutionizing tools. So thank you so much, Mr. Saiju Aravind. Your valuable time is spent for, for a noble cause, because many teachers today being a holiday have spent, their time to listen to you. Definitely this is going to benefit the student community and ultimately the whole nation. So that is the objective of Bharat Sahodaya. Thank you so much for joining hands with us, Saiju Aravind, Vipin and Hemant, and all the listeners, all the educators, Mr. Arun Mohan, Sarida Varyam, and all. See you maybe next time, once again. Hopefully, if Saiju Aravind sir agrees, we will come with a different, same will be the topic, but different, angle.
There can be data science, sir. Data
Science, yes. Somebody was suggesting, my vice principal was suggesting she has texted me. We have to do with data science. So definitely we will be joining once again. Thank you so much for your support, sir. Happy, that we are connected once again. Good night to each and everyone. Thank you.
Good night to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.